This is Michael Davis Jr.'s story. My name is Debbie McMahon. My son, Michael Davis Jr., was murdered on October 24, 2014. Michael began his career working as a police officer for Auburn PD before being hired as a deputy sheriff for Placer County. It is ironic that when Michael was murdered, he was a detective working crimes against persons. Michael was murdered by a man who was a career criminal with multiple encounters with law enforcement. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Michael, the person, the father, the son, grandson, and detective. Michael was the eldest of three. We moved to Tahoe when he was 8 months old. When he was about 2 years old, he had a lot of stuffed animals. In the winter, he had the fleece zip-up pajamas with the feet. I would go into his bedroom and find all of his stuffed animals under the covers, and he would be on top. I said, "Michael, you need to get under the covers." And he said, "But Mommy, they're going to get cold." I had to explain to him their fur would keep them warm. He was 5 years old when his first brother was born and 6 years old when his second brother was born. He was never jealous of them. I'd put a blanket on the floor and put the babies on their tummies, and Michael would play cars and trucks with them. I believe that is why his brothers talked at an early age. He was happy to have them. He said, "Mommy, we need 8 is enough." I said, "We need to be satisfied with 3. When Michael was about 4 or 5, he, his dad, and I had just finished having dinner. It was Christmas Eve, and we had just finished our dinner that included pork chops. As usual, I was getting ready to put cookies and milk out for Santa when Michael said, "Mommy, we need to make Santa some pork chops. Santa's coming all the way from the North Pole, and he's going to be really hungry. Cookies and milk are not enough." I had to convince him that Santa's expecting cookies and milk and how disappointed he would be if ours was the only house that did not have them. Michael loved his family, who included his 2 daughters. It makes me sad to think he never got to see them graduate from college. He never got to see the beautiful people they've become. They're hard-working, independent adults who pay their own way. He would be very proud of them. Michael's youngest daughter told me, "Dad said people in their 20s need their parents' advice more than teenagers." She said it is true. She misses her dad. Michael always had a good heart for those less fortunate than himself. Although he never talked about his cases or what he did for others, when people discovered that I am Michael's mom, they tell me what Michael meant to them. They all told me how compassionate and helpful Michael was to their cases. There was a story about a baby who had been abandoned in a field. Michael fundraised to get money for the baby to have a burial. When Michael first moved to Northern California, he lived with an older couple. The wife said her husband got cancer. The wife said her husband was taken to the hospital several times, and every time Michael would be at the hospital to provide support. The wife said she could always count on Michael and loved him like he was her own son. Another parent did not go into details, but said even after the case was solved, Michael would call to see how everyone was doing. Michael was a blessing not only to our entire family, but to the residents of Placer County, California. We all lost a good, decent person when we lost Michael. There's not one day that goes by that I wish I could have one more hug, one more conversation, and tell him I love him. The pain is real and never goes away. There is never closure.